Extreme times call for extreme measures.
Damn boiler. Now it's not even making steam. How the hell does it work? How come there's no more steam? I don't touch anything.
Slovansky.
What can I do for you, Del Niro?
Tell me more about the guy you let into my apartment.
What do you want to know?
I have a question.
What is it now?
Did this Detective Ballard have a scar on his face?
How do you know?
It doesn't matter how I know. Did you see a scar?
Yes, he had a long scar on his left cheek, now that I think of it. What does it mean?
That the man that you let into my apartment wasn't a police detective.
He had New York State Police badge.
I can get a badge like that for $1.
Fake badge? I could not know that.
It doesn't matter. It looks like his visit to my apartment wasn't very helpful to him. I have to talk with Victoria, and I should also check the Melville docks. Maybe the guy left some trail. Goodbye, Slovansky.
Goodbye, Del Niro.
Hey, that was Chan's cab. Where the hell is he going? Hi, Greta.
Jack, I thought you were resting.
I slept enough.
It hasn't even been 2 hours since you left from here.
Right. I think that my insomnia is getting worse. Where did Chan go?
I don't know. I stepped out for a second, and he wasn't in the joint anymore.
Dannazione.
Are you afraid he might go to the police and tell them everything?
It would be a dumb idea, but dumb enough for him to actually go and do it. Okay, I'm going now.
Bye, Jack.
Anulera! Oh, you again. Didn't go to sleep?
I slept enough. And what about you? Where were you?
Me? I always here.
You weren't here earlier on, not in the pub or out in the street.
Well, I had to move cab from front of pub. Cab cannot stay there.
I didn't think you cared so much about the traffic laws. Anyway, we have to go somewhere.
Where?
The police department, Hoboken.
We see.
It's Victoria's office. It looks like Victoria isn't there. Maybe the officer on duty knows where I can find her. It looks like Victoria isn't there. Maybe the officer on duty knows where I can find her. Hi, officer.
How can I help you?
Do you know where I can find Sergeant Diaz?
Sergeant Diaz is out of town, but don't ask me where she is.
I guess you don't even know when she's coming back.
That's right. So save yourself the trouble of asking anything else. If you really want to know where Sergeant Diaz is, ask Malone. He's the one who sent her out of town.
Dannazione. I'll bet Malone sent Victoria away on purpose. She was the only one who could have helped me. I'd like to talk to Malone again.
Listen, I'm fed up with you. If you want to go talk to the lieutenant, go on your own. You know the way.
Del Nero, you finally decide to give a full confession?
I was looking for Sergeant Diaz.
Sergeant Diaz isn't here. I thought it'd be better to assign her to a case outside the city.
Afraid that she could help me, Malone?
In the situation you're in, Del Nero, not even the President of the United States could help you. She paid your bail, but that only gave you a few more hours of freedom, nothing else.
I've received a visit tonight. A guy who claimed to be a police officer searched my apartment.
Don't make up stuff. I didn't order any search.
I never said he was a police officer. I just said that he claimed to be one. The owner of my apartment believed him, and the guy had a nice private viewing of my personal things.
I don't understand why you're telling me this, Del Nero. You aren't dumb enough to think that a story like this would turn my suspicions elsewhere, are you?
I gave up a long time ago on trying to convince pigs to fly.
Careful with what you say and tell me what you want.
I have reason to believe that the person who paid me this visit is part of a criminal organization.
Yeah, it looks like you have a lot of enemies, Del Nero. I suggest you take it easy with your nighttime visitors. Your ex-partner hung with a rough crowd in Los Angeles.
What crowd?
It looks like Black Lily was on him.
Black Lily? The mob in Los Angeles?
Exactly, Del Nero. It looks like your time in the slammer might not be the worst thing that could happen to you.
Yeah, the typical choices that life always presents me with.
If you want protection, I can offer you a stay in one of our cells.
I'd rather be shot than eat that swill that you call a meal. I've already tried it.
Now the choice is yours.
Goodbye.
See you soon, Del Nero.
Black Lily was after Sean. It's not as bad as you might think. At least I have a lead to follow now. I need to find some information on this organization. A while ago, I got a journalist, a certain Moore, out of trouble. He was investigating the Mafia in New York. Maybe he'll be able to give me some more information about Black Lily's activities. His number will definitely be in the phone book. The police archives have all the information on the people they arrest. If you did something, your picture is definitely in here. A card reader. It's the first time I've seen one. Swipe your card in that thing and it tells you if...
Ah, you again. Where we go this time?
Essex Street, Lower East Side.
We see.
I should be able to find Moore's number in the phone book. Let's see if I can find Moore's telephone number in the phone book. Moore. I just remembered the last name, but he had a pretty unusual first name. I'll remember it if I see it written. Violetta Moore. That's the name. What kind of name is Violetta for a guy? Anyway, his number is 555-4897. I hope he's still alive. This guy has a real knack for getting into trouble.
New York operator, what can I do for you?
Can you dial a number for me?
What's the number?
Violetta Moore, 555-4897.
Coming up.
Hello?
Am I speaking with Violetta Moore?
You're talking with his ghost. It's the middle of the night. Who the hell is calling at this hour?
I'm Del Nero, the detective that...
Del Nero, old son of a gun.
I see you still remember me.
Hell, you saved my skid in that story with the syndicates a few years ago. How could I forget you, old buddy? How you doing?
Same old.
Bottle in the hand and bills to pay, huh?
More or less.
You must have a good reason to call in the middle of the night.
I need some information.
Well, you called the right number. You give me a name and I'll tell you all about the skeletons in his closet.
Do you know an organization called Black Lily?
Damn, you don't mess around. It's better not to step on those guys' toes if you don't want to find yourself neck-high in shit.
What do you know about them?
Black Lily is one of the strongest mafia families in Los Angeles. In the mid-1920s, they started to grab power when the other families were busy fighting amongst themselves. They figured out that the time of gangsters armed with Thompsons was winding down, and they started to make headway corrupting and forming alliances with politicians. No contrabands or killings. They got what they wanted with cold, hard cash. In Los Angeles, they say that Black Lily doesn't kill you. It just steals your soul.
Do you have any names for me?
How many do you want, bud? The head of the organization is a certain Tommaso Venanzi, one of your compatriots. But don't think of him as a classic Italian-American gangster. Venanzi is an attorney, and he comes from a good family. He's smart enough to know that greasing the right hand is worth more than 1,000 armed men.
And who greases those palms in New York for him?
A half-Canadian called Samuel Cutter. He's an attorney, too, if I remember correctly.
Samuel Cutter. I think I've already heard that name before.
You definitely read about him in the papers. He was tried for the murder of 4 policemen a while ago. Came out of it as clean as a baby's ass when it gets off the changing table. But he made a mistake. He underestimated the value of the public opinion.
What do you mean?
Cutter bought off everyone at that trial, even the court usher. But the press figured it out and started to ask questions. Nowadays, the right headline in the paper sends more heads rolling than the guillotine during the French Revolution. The palms Cutter greased pulled away because they were afraid of a scandal and left him all alone. Greasing palms is a good strategy, Jack, but you always need to remember that you're dealing with people who hide behind their business card.
What happened to Cutter?
That's the best part. Cutter was found innocent at the first trial, but there was another one a few months later, and it didn't turn out as well for him.
Did he go to jail?
Yeah, he was locked up, and then he was shut up. They found him in his cell with a knife in his back. This sent the entire organization here in New York crumbling down, and with it all the speculations about the involvement of politicians in white-collar crime came to an end.
So they all saved their faces.
That's right, Jack. Cutter's death was as fortunate as it was suspicious.
Well, at least I have a name now. Samuel Cutter. And if he has ever been arrested before, I'm sure that the police archives will have a nice file about him. I'd better go there. Do you know anything about a guy called the Turk?
No, pal, this name doesn't tell me anything. But it doesn't sound like someone you should get too chummy with.
Definitely not. Did you ever hear the name Sean McClane?
Sean McClane? No, pal, nothing. Never heard of him.
Thanks for the information, Moore.
No problem, pal. If you need anything, call day or night.
Where you want to go this time?
The police department, Hoboken.
Okay.
The police archives could be a good place to look for information on this Samuel Cutter that Moore was talking about. I'm sure that there's a nice thick file on him in here. There aren't any knobs or locks. The only way to open this door is using the reader next to it. I won't get too far without a card. It's Victoria's office. I don't see why I should. It looks like Victoria isn't there. Maybe the officer on duty knows where I can find her. I don't see why I should. Hi, officer.
How can I help you?
I have some questions about your files.
What do you want to know?
How can I get in?
Simple. A signature on a form and 9 months of police academy. Buddy, access to the files is reserved to police officers. No badge, no access.
What's that device next to the door?
They put it here a few months ago. Old Sam, who managed the archives, retired. And rather than bringing in another officer, the department replaced him with this thing.
How does it work?
Every officer has a special punch card. When they go into the archives, they just take out the card and swipe it through this machine. The machine recognizes the officer and opens the archives door.
So, every officer has his own card. Victoria will definitely have one. I don't have anything else to ask you.
Better.
Goodbye, officer.
Goodbye.
It's Victoria's office. It looks like Victoria isn't there. Maybe the officer on duty knows where I can find her. Well, I don't see any other option. It's Victoria's office. A coat rack. No thanks. I like to wear my coat. I don't have time to sit down now. No, I didn't come to stick my nose in Victoria's business. I don't see anything interesting there. I already don't think that Victoria will appreciate that I have broken the lock on her office, let alone if I tell her that I stuck my nose in her things. The desk drawers, a great place to keep the access cards for the archives. It's too dark to see what's in the drawers. Yes, let's see if I can find this damned access card for the archives. There's some kind of combination that locks the last drawer. combination was the Mexican flag, Victoria and her sentimentality. The advertisement of a ferry company that connects Manhattan to Glen Cove. Maybe that's where Malone sent Victoria. The card to get into the archives. I'll take it. I hope that Victoria doesn't get upset if I take her card for a while. As they say, open sesame. New York police, you can trust us. I didn't trust the police when I was an officer. Imagine now that I'm accused of murder. Interesting. If you put the name of the person you're looking for in this sort of calculator, you get the number of his file. I wonder what old Sam would think if he knew he'd been replaced by this gadget. Samuel Cutter's file is 6120057. I should remember it. All the files on the people arrested by various New York departments are here. Everyone has a 7-digit number. Without it, it's impossible to find the information you're looking for. Folder 6120057. Samuel Cutter. Here you are, Samuel Cutter. Samuel Cutter. Attorney, jailed on May 7th, 1933 for the murder of 4 police officers. Samuel Cutter. Attorney, Samuel Cutter. Attorney. It's a summary of the trial where Cutter was accused of murdering 4 police officers. The verdict was unanimous, innocent, due to lack of evidence. In this city, your innocence is proportionate to how good your lawyers are. Cutter's lawyers must have been the best on the block. It's a summary of the trial where Here's the report on Cutter's incarceration. It looks like it's the work of that snake, Malone. Like Moore said, after his arrest, many others from Black Lily were arrested too, definitively dismantling the organization. The boss and his crew were arrested, and then there was peace. Not even the movies have such happy endings. Patrick Olson's name is among those of the people who were arrested. That's the same name Victoria mentioned when she was talking about the case in which Sean's name came up. Patrick Olson's file is 6088090. File 6088090, Patrick Olson. Let's see what I can find in this file. Patrick Olson, a gardener. This man's profile doesn't really seem to be that of a criminal. It looks more like that of an ideal neighbor. His arrest report. He was with his family when they arrested him for the bombing of Rick's Cafe on the night of November 5th, 1933. A regular gardener without any record who blows up a cafe on 81st Street. Kind of odd. The report is just a bunch of pointless bureaucratic stuff. There are no details about the bombing. Newspapers. The New York Voice, to be precise. As soon as it's printed, at least a dozen copies are filed here, for research. I'll look for the edition from... No, this date doesn't tell me anything. Newspapers. The New York Voice. I'll look for the edition from... No, this date doesn't tell me anything. Patrick Olson's file is 6088090. File 6088090. Patrick Olson. Patrick Olson. A gardener? This man. His arrest report. He was with his family when they arrested him for the bombing of Rick's Cafe on the night of November 5th, 1933. A regular gardener without any record who blows up a cafe on 81st Street. Kind of odd. The report is just a bunch of pointless bureaucratic stuff. There are no details about the bombing. I'll look for the addition from. It's the date of the bombing of Rick's Cafe that Patrick Olson was blamed for. There must be more information about it in the paper. Here's the article about the bombing. The article says that at 12:23 a.m., an explosion completely destroyed Rick's Cafe, a joint on 81st Street near Central Park. 3 people died in the explosion. The cafe's owner, Nick Fantini, 43 years old, married. A woman walking by the joint, Eleanor Guter, 37 years old, teacher. And August Zindler, 58 years old, esteemed archaeology professor at the Civic Museum in New York. Zindler. Professor Zindler. Dannazione. It's the same name that was in my dream. So far, these visions have always been correct. Maybe I should visit the Civic Museum in New York.
Let me guess. We have to go somewhere.
The Civic Museum, Central Park.
Whatever you want.
Civic Museum of New York. It closed about 3 years ago for some expansion work, but the crisis stopped everything halfway. Since then, it's stayed this way, a mausoleum of our past that no one cares about anymore. This museum has been closed for at least 3 years. The economic crisis has convinced Years back, these tanks had water in them. Now they look more like a dump for construction material. This museum has been closed. The economic crisis. The main entrance to the museum. I seriously doubt they left the doors unlocked. The world of dinosaurs. It's a shame I'm no longer that age where you get excited by seeing the bones of something that died thousands of years ago. The world of dinosaurs. It's a shame I'm... the museum's opening hours. Obviously, they don't offer any night visits. It doesn't make any sense to me. I seriously doubt they left the doors unlocked. I don't see how I could use them together. I seriously doubt they left the doors unlocked.